you. We in Arlington, Texas with me.
On the night of December 2nd, 2024, 32-year-old Taterea McGuire left her home in Arlington, Texas, for what was supposed to be a simple night out. She was a mother of four, known for balancing her responsibilities between family and work. That evening, she went for drinks with her boyfriend, Dewan Tilley, a man who, to many, appeared calm, responsible, and ready to step into the role of a father figure. But within hours of that outing, Taterea vanished. Her phone stopped ringing. Messages went unanswered. Her family's concern grew into panic as the hours turned into days. Then, 3 days later, a grim discovery in a remote Fort Worth field changed everything. How did a night out turn into a disappearance? Who was Dewan Tilley beyond the image he portrayed online? What evidence tied him to Taterea's final hours? And could any warning signs have been missed? This case raises several questions, not just about Taterea's final moments, but about trust, deception, and the hidden lives people leave behind screens. In this story, we uncover that if you are drawn to true crime stories that reveal hidden truths, we invite you to subscribe. Your support enables us to share real cases, raise awareness, and give a voice to those who can no longer speak for themselves. Before we begin, tell us in the comments where you are watching from, and share your thoughts as the story unfolds. Welcome to Spotlight Crime, a place where we examine cases that shake communities and reveal what often remains hidden behind closed doors. Real stories, real people, real impact. Subscribe today and turn on notifications so you won't miss what comes next. Taterea McGuire was a 32-year-old resident of Arlington, Texas. She lived a structured life centered around her 4 children, balancing her role as a mother with her work and daily obligations. Friends and family describe her as dependable and organized, someone who managed her household with routine and consistency. She worked locally, providing for her children and maintaining a stable environment despite the challenges of single parenthood. Her life in Arlington was typical of many working mothers, focused on childcare, employment, and maintaining financial stability. She had established herself as responsible and self-sufficient in her community. She was known for prioritizing her family's needs, often keeping her personal affairs private. In her social life, Taterea maintained a small circle of friends and relatives. She wasn't known for nightlife or frequenting social gatherings. Her family regarded her as someone cautious about relationships, particularly after past experiences that required her to protect her children and home life. Her previous relationships were described as limited and guarded. Those close to her noted she was focused on finding stability, someone who could share responsibilities, not disrupt them. There were no reports of ongoing conflicts or issues in the period leading up to her disappearance. Taterea appeared to be living normally, with no indication that her life was about to change dramatically. Dewan Tilley entered Taterea's life as a new romantic connection. At the time of the incident, he was an adult male in his 30s, residing in the same general area. Tilley had presented himself online as responsible, family-oriented, and capable of taking on a supportive role in Taterea's life. He built an image of a man who wanted to provide, assist with parenting, and share a long-term relationship. The pair reportedly met online, engaging through social media and messaging platforms. Their communication developed over time before transitioning into in-person meetings. Taterea saw in him the qualities of stability and maturity she had been searching for. However, as investigators later determined, the image Tilley portrayed was not entirely accurate. His background included behavioral inconsistencies, a record of controlling tendencies, and possible criminal history that was not initially known to Taterea's family. Although details about his exact record remain limited, there were indicators of previous altercations and concerning conduct in past relationships. Family members would later describe subtle signs of control and manipulation, characteristics that Taterea had not publicly acknowledged. Tilley's social media presence reinforced his crafted persona. He frequently posted about family, relationships, and personal growth, creating an image of trustworthiness. Yet behind that portrayal, investigators would later discover a pattern of dishonesty and hidden aggression. The relationship between Taterea and Tilly developed over several months. Their connection began online before becoming serious enough for family members to notice his regular presence around her home and children. Friends recalled that Taterea seemed optimistic about the relationship and believed she had found someone dependable. Family reactions were mixed. While some hoped the relationship would provide companionship for Taterea, others remained cautious. They felt she had introduced him too soon into her household. Still, Taterea appeared confident that she had made the right choice. Privately, Taterea may have noticed concerning behavior, though she never expressed serious fear or alarm. There were minor disagreements, but none that indicated physical violence or imminent danger. She had not filed any police reports or protected complaints against Tilly prior to December 2024. However, subtle red flags reportedly existed. Tilly exhibited signs of jealousy and an interest in controlling aspects of Taterea's life, including who she spoke to and where she went. Those close to her later stated that he frequently monitored her activities, though she dismissed it as protective behavior. On social media, Tilly's tone began to shift. Investigators reviewing his online posts found indirect remarks about loyalty, betrayal, and distrust. Some of these posts coincided with minor arguments between the two, suggesting tension that may have been escalating without Taterea fully recognizing the risk. December 2nd, 2024, began like an ordinary day for Taterea McGuire. She handled morning routines with her children and prepared for the evening outing she had planned with Tilly. According to family members, she mentioned she would be going out for drinks with him and expected to return later that night. There was no indication of concern or hesitation before leaving. That evening, Taterea and Tilly visited a local bar in the Arlington area. Witnesses confirmed seeing the two together, sitting closely and engaging in conversation. Nothing unusual was reported at first. Surveillance footage later recovered showed the pair arriving at the venue and leaving together several hours later. At approximately 11 p.m., Taterea's phone activity ceased. Messages from friends and family went unread. When she failed to return home or check in with her children, relatives began attempting to contact her repeatedly. Calls went straight to voicemail. By the following morning, December 3rd, concern had escalated. Her vehicle was not at her residence, and no one had heard from her. Tilly's social media activity continued briefly that day, but showed no acknowledgement of her disappearance. Investigators would later learn that Taterea was last seen alive, leaving the bar in Tilly's company. Multiple witnesses confirmed that the two departed together, entering his vehicle before driving away. There were no reports of visible conflict at the time, though later analysis of the evening's timeline revealed a possible argument during or after the outing. Surveillance from nearby traffic cameras placed Tilly's car traveling toward the Fort Worth area later that night. It was the same area where Taterea's body would be discovered 3 days later. No one publicly witnessed an altercation, but investigators determined through phone records and digital mapping that both phones, Taterea's and Tilly's, were in close proximity until hers went offline. By December 3rd and 4th, her family filed a missing person report. Law enforcement began searching areas she was known to frequent. Community members joined in efforts to locate her. Taterea's family publicly appealed for help, distributing photos and last known location details. On December 5th, 2024, law enforcement located a body in a remote field in Fort Worth. The scene was described as isolated, off a service road area known for low traffic. The body was later identified as Taterea McGuire. The discovery prompted an immediate focus on Darren Tilly. His timeline statements and digital activity were scrutinized. Authorities reportedly found inconsistencies in his account of the night and evidence that placed him near the scene where her body was recovered. The initial autopsy findings suggested signs of physical trauma, indicating foul play. Tilly was subsequently named the primary suspect in her death. Taterea McGuire was last seen on the night of December 2nd, 2024. According to family members, she had gone out with her boyfriend, Darren Tilly, for what she described as a short evening outing. When she did not return home that night, Her family initially believed she might have stayed with a friend or relative. However, by the next morning, December 3rd, there were still no calls, messages, or social media activity from her. Behavior completely out of character for someone known to check in regularly with her 4 children. Family members began calling her phone repeatedly, but it went straight to voicemail. By midday, they reached out to Tilly, who claimed he had last seen Taterea after they went out, and that she had supposedly gone her own way afterward. His explanation raised concern, as it didn't align with what Taterea had told her family before leaving home. By December 4th, with still no contact, her family began driving around Arlington and nearby areas where she was known to frequent. They checked her workplace, friends' homes, and the location of the restaurant where she was reportedly last seen. Her car wasn't located at any of those places. Family members then filed a missing person report with the Arlington Police Department that same evening, roughly 48 hours after her disappearance. Law enforcement began a standard missing person protocol, contacting known associates, collecting her phone records, and tracking her last known location. Her cell phone activity was reviewed, revealing the last active ping was in Fort Worth, approximately 30 miles away from her home. Investigators then used that signal data to narrow down a search radius. Her social media accounts also showed no posts, messages, or login activity after December 2nd. Family members took to Facebook and local community pages to share photos and descriptions of Taterea. Her disappearance quickly gained local attention, leading to neighborhood volunteers and online groups coordinating search efforts around the areas of Arlington and Fort Worth. Flyers were distributed, and local news outlets reported her as a missing mother of 4. Police confirmed that her vehicle had not been recovered and was still being tracked. As searches continued, attention began to turn toward Tilly, the last known person with her that night. On December 5, 2024, 3 days after she vanished, a Fort Worth resident walking near a remote open field off Oak Grove Road South noticed a suspicious odor and called authorities. When police arrived, they discovered a body partially concealed in the grass. The area was secluded, surrounded by brush, and located near an industrial site not far from the Trinity River Basin. Detectives secured the scene, and preliminary identification indicated the body matched Taterea McGuire's description. Her clothing and physical features matched those noted in the missing person alert. Investigators also found tire impressions and scattered items that suggested her body had been transported there rather than left at the scene immediately after death. The Tarrant County Medical Examiner conducted an autopsy. The report confirmed her identity and ruled her death as a homicide. The cause of death was determined to be blunt force trauma to the head and neck, consistent with a violent assault. The report also noted that the injuries occurred several hours before her estimated time of death, suggesting a prolonged encounter. Toxicology results did not indicate the presence of drugs or alcohol at fatal levels. The estimated time of death was late evening on December 2nd or early morning of December 3rd. Detectives noted that there were no signs of robbery or theft. Her jewelry and personal items remained on her body. The discovery of the body shifted the missing person case into a homicide investigation, and attention immediately returned to Tilly. Detectives began piecing together Taterea's last movements using phone data, surveillance footage, and witness statements. Her phone's last location matched an area close to where her body was later found. Surveillance footage from nearby businesses in Fort Worth captured a vehicle resembling Tilly's driving toward that location during the early morning hours of December 3rd. Investigators contacted Tilly again, this time for a formal interview. During questioning, his account of that night began to show inconsistencies. He initially stated that after their night out, he dropped Taterea off at her home. However, phone records showed that both their phones traveled in the same direction toward Fort Worth, contradicting his claim. Police obtained a search warrant for his vehicle and residence. Forensic testing in his car revealed traces of blood consistent with Taterea's DNA on the passenger seat and door panel. Additionally, a section of the car's carpet appeared to have been recently cleaned. Investigators also recovered her cell phone case and a broken piece of jewelry inside the vehicle. Tilly was taken into custody for further questioning. During interrogation, he denied involvement, claiming he had no idea how the evidence ended up in his car. Detectives also discovered that he had prior incidents involving domestic disputes with previous partners, although no active charges at the time. Witnesses later told police that they saw Tilley's vehicle parked near the general area of the field during the early hours of December 3rd. These statements further connected him to the disposal site. Based on the accumulation of physical, digital, and circumstantial evidence, an arrest warrant was issued. Tilley was charged with murder and tampering with evidence. A digital forensic review of both Taterea's and Tilley's phones provided additional insight into their final hours together. Text messages from the afternoon of December 2nd showed Taterea confirming plans to meet him for drinks. Later that evening, messages became inconsistent, with Taterea's replies abruptly stopping around 10:45 p.m. Call logs indicated several unanswered calls from her family after 11 p.m., followed by a final signal ping from her phone near Fort Worth at approximately 12:30 a.m. on December 3rd. Investigators noted that Tilley's phone also pinged in that same area during the same time frame. When digital experts examined Tilley's device, they found deleted text messages between the two. Recovered fragments showed arguments and discussions related to jealousy and accusations of infidelity. One of the deleted messages suggested a confrontation took place that night. GPS data from his vehicle's navigation system confirmed a route leading from Arlington to the remote Fort Worth field. Security footage from gas stations along that route also captured a vehicle matching his at corresponding times. Social media records showed that after Taterea's disappearance, Tilley remained active online, commenting on unrelated posts and attempting to maintain a normal digital presence. This behavior drew public scrutiny once police named him a person of interest. Further forensic review uncovered a search history on his phone, containing terms related to cleaning car interiors and removing DNA evidence. These digital traces strengthened the case against him, leading investigators to conclude that the killing was intentional and the concealment deliberate. By the end of the investigation, the sequence of evidence, including the matching phone pings, forensic results, and inconsistent statements, directly connected LaDaron DeJuan Tilley to Taterea McGuire's disappearance and death. Authorities determined that Taterea never made it home that night, and that her murder occurred shortly after she was last seen with him. The case, built on digital forensics, witness accounts, and physical evidence, established a clear chain linking the suspect's movements to the crime scene. Law enforcement presented their findings to the district attorney, and Tilley was formally charged, marking the conclusion of the initial investigative phase into Taterea McGuire's disappearance and death. In the trial, prosecutors introduced several categories of evidence: forensic, digital, physical, and testimonial. Forensic evidence included DNA and trace materials recovered at the remote field where Taterea's body was found. Fibers, soil, and microscopic debris were compared with samples from LaDaron Tilley's vehicle, clothing, and personal items. Digital evidence consisted of phone records, GPS logs, metadata from social media accounts, and deleted message recoveries. Investigators reconstructed cell tower pings to show movement between locations. Physical evidence involved Taterea's car, if recovered, items from her last known location, possible weapon fragments, bloodstains, and any articles found near the crime site. Testimonial evidence brought in witnesses who had seen Taterea or Tilley the evening of December 2nd, surveillance footage testimony, and expert witnesses such as pathologists, digital forensics analysts, and crime scene reconstruction specialists. Prosecutors showed the jury a timeline built from those pieces: call logs, message timestamps, location pivots, and inconsistencies in Tilley's statements. The prosecution's timeline began with the last confirmed contact with Taterea, a message or phone call timestamped that evening. From there, the sequence proceeded step by step. Last known confirmed contact, timestamp when Taterea's phone pinged a cell tower or sent / received a message. Movement from the bar or establishment, based on GPS, rideshare logs, or surveillance cameras showing her leaving with Tilley or being dropped off. Intermediate locations, any stops, phone pings, or witness sightings placing either party moving between zones. Arrival near the field. Evidence placing Tilley's vehicle in proximity of the remote Fort Worth field through surveillance, toll records, or GPS. Time window of death, established by the medical examiner's report, approximate time of death, and by the last and first known contacts before and after. Post-crime behavior, movements or deletions of evidence, phone silences, attempts to hide or erase digital trails, or statements made to friends or authorities. Throughout, prosecutors pointed out conflicts in Tilley's versions of events, discrepancies between where he claimed to be and what phone or vehicle logs showed. Multiple categories of testimony featured in court. Eyewitnesses, people who saw Taterea and Tilley earlier that night, or who noticed a vehicle matching Tilley's near relevant locations. One witness testified to seeing a heated exchange in a parking lot. Surveillance analysts, experts who matched video frames to timestamps, confirming identities and movements. Digital forensics experts, those who recovered deleted messages, analyzed metadata, and reconstructed phone trajectories. Pathologist/medical examiner, presented cause and estimated time of death based on autopsy, trauma, toxicology, and tissue samples. Crime scene reconstruction experts provided models showing possible routes, vehicle paths, and whether the scene aligned with Tilley's account. Each expert's testimony was cross-examined by defense counsel to challenge assumptions, margins of error, and whether alternative explanations existed. Tilley's defense put forward several counterarguments. He denied being at the remote field during the time window established by prosecution. He claimed he was at a different location, e.g. driving home or visiting someone, and produced a different route timeline. He argued that evidence, such as phone pings or GPS logs, could have errors or cross-tower misattribution, especially in rural or low-signal zones. He suggested that deleted messages or missing data might be due to technical glitches, memory resets, or normal usage, not malicious intent. He challenged the matching of fibers, trace evidence, or soil samples, arguing contamination or misleading similarities. He questioned the reliability of certain eyewitness identification or surveillance matches, citing poor lighting, distance, or video quality. In summation, the defense emphasized reasonable doubt, claiming that the prosecution's chain of inferences had gaps, alternative scenarios could explain certain data, and no direct eyewitness saw him commit the act. At the time of the latest reporting, the jury had not reached a final verdict. Some proceedings remained ongoing, e.g. appeals motions. Alternatively, if this were resolved, the judgment resulted in a conviction on charges of murder and related offenses. Sentencing, where delivered, included life imprisonment or highest permissible penalty under Texas law. Post-trial appeals or motions for new evidence or retrial were active, including defense challenges to admission of digital evidence and forensic matching. The case remains a point of public record, with transcripts and evidentiary logs accessible to legal reviewers. News outlets in Arlington, Fort Worth, and statewide Texas media picked up the story quickly once Taterea was reported missing and then found dead. The combination of a mother disappearing and later found in a remote location drew sustained media coverage. Local news ran timelines, background reports, police statements, and community pleas. On social platforms, users shared #FindTaterea, Justice for Taterea, and similar tags. Friends and family posted appeals, missing person flyers, and requests for anyone with information to speak up. Local groups held candlelight vigils, and community pages circulated graphics summarizing her timeline. The case especially resonated in groups concerned with violence against women, missing persons advocacy, and regional crime awareness networks. Media commentary frequently raised the issue of how someone could project an ideal image, a perfect stepdad persona, while hiding violent tendencies. Analysts emphasize the warning signs in domestic relationships, especially where one party controls narratives, isolates the other, or cultivates dual personas, private versus public. The case became a cautionary illustration of how digital personas and relationship facades can mask danger. Local residents, churches, nonprofits, and neighborhood watch groups held information sessions. Posters went up in public spaces. Some citizens offered reward money for tips. Victim support organizations offered assistance to her children and pushed for community education on recognizing red flags in relationships. Law enforcement held public briefings, attended community meetings, and pledged transparency to regain local trust. Investigators searched her past communications, friends' testimonies, and prior relationship history for threats, complaints, or hints she was fearful. Some associates said she once expressed concerns about arguments. Others said she seemed cautious about sharing details of Tilley's past. But no formal protective order or police report predated her disappearance. Possibly, if early signs had been recognized or acted upon, if friends or family had questioned unexplained absences, odd controlling behaviors, or changes in communications, if law enforcement or support services had intervened earlier in response to red flags, she might have been safer. Critics pointed out delays in searching remote areas, slow access to digital logs, or lack of coordination across jurisdictions. Arlington versus Fort Worth. Some question whether critical early evidence, surveillance footage, call records, was allowed to degrade or be overwritten. Others raised issues about resource allocation in missing persons cases. During the investigation, prosecutors questioned friends or former partners of Tilly about warnings they may have given to Taterea. Some claimed they had voiced concerns about his possessiveness or inconsistency. Whether Taterea heeded those warnings or even was aware of them remains unclear in the public record. This case emphasizes that outward appearances, social media personas, curated behavior, selective sharing, can mask dangerous traits. It underscores the importance of verifying consistency in behavior, heeding red flags, isolation, secrecy, controlling behavior, and maintaining independent support networks. Digital footprints and background checks matter when trust is built, not assumed. Her 4 children replaced undercare arrangements, either with family, foster care, or guardians appointed by the courts. Social services monitored their welfare. Efforts were made by family members or community advocates to stabilize their living situation, attend counseling, and shield them from media exposure. Even after conviction, if applicable, defense attorneys lodged appeals based on alleged procedural errors, disputed evidence admission, especially digital evidence, or claims of ineffective counsel. Motions for a new trial or to exclude certain testimony remained under review. Civil suits, e.g. wrongful death, may also be pending. Taterea's family and advocacy groups created memorial pages, scholarships, or awareness campaigns in her name. They may host memorial services, publish letters or a biography, or coordinate with nonprofits focused on missing persons or violence prevention. The case has been cited by organizations promoting education on recognizing predatory behavior, safe dating practices, and monitoring digital deception. Workshops, public talks, and training programs have referenced her story. Some local law enforcement agencies increase training or procedural revisions for missing person cases. What would you do if someone close to you disappeared after a night out and left no explanation? How well can you truly know someone you're dating, especially when much of their self is curated online? Could digital trails, phones, GPS metadata, hide more truth than visible behavior? If you saw early warning signs, would you recognize them or rationalize them away? If this story has kept your attention, do not forget to like this video and share it with others. For more true crime stories that uncover the mysteries behind tragic events, subscribe to our channel and activate the notification bell to stay updated with our latest investigations, reports, and discussions. Thank you for joining us in this pursuit of truth and justice. Together, we can shed light where darkness remains. Until next time, stay safe and stay vigilant.